Do you think they're going to get that it's the Statue of Liberty? You don't? We're rolling. Okay. Oh! Hi, guys. We're going to talk about squash today. Give me a second. Now that I've composed myself, I really do want to tell you about winter squash because summer is done, fall is here, and this incredible vegetable has everything you need for the winter months. It's high in beta carotene, vitamin A, vitamin C. It's been a mainstay of North American culture dating back to the Native American days. We have a few different kinds in front of us, and I want to show you what they look like. Starting from my left, we have a honey nut squash. It's a smaller, sweeter cousin of a butternut squash. Really perfect. It's kind of like a single serve type of meal, roasted in the oven. Delicata squash next to it has a delicate skin. It's why it has that name. You can actually eat the whole thing. Get loads of extra fiber that way, and the seeds are incredible when you roast them in the oven. Acorn squash next to it, that's the one as a kid my mom used to cut in half and roast it up with maple syrup and cinnamon. Also kind of a cool shape. Spaghetti squash, we all know and love. It's a gluten-free alternative to spaghetti. You can pop some tomato sauce on it and really have a meal in a few seconds. Butternut is a staple. Kabocha, this is a really pretty squash. Has a delicate orange flesh. Really nice to roast up in the oven as well. And this Chagunda monster here is a red curry squash. A lot of people do this actually as a vegan alternative for Thanksgiving. You know, it can serve a whole bunch of people. And then last but not least, we have a decorative gourd. Don't eat this. You will not like it, I promise. Butternut squash is a fan favorite. It's also one of the most common types of winter squash we have. But a question a lot of you have been asking me is, how do I prep it properly? Or what's the safest way to cut it? I don't want to cut myself when I'm preparing it. So I want to take you through a few easy steps today on how to do that. So first and foremost, we have our squash safely on a cutting board. I'm going to remove the top and bottom, which I'll start to do now, which you're then going to discard. Now, something I always like to do is have a garbage bowl. That's over here. All those things can go in the garbage bowl out of your way so they're not in your cutting board, cluttering it up. So I'm going to remove the top and bottom like so. Now, she wanted to run, but I didn't let her. Now you have your squash. Easiest thing to do is separate it between the neck of the squash and the base so you can deal with them separately. So I'm just going to cut it right in the middle, and that'll separate into two pieces just like this. And now I'm going to start peeling the squash. I'll start with the neck, work with the other side after. What's the best way to eat an elephant? A bite at a time. So do this in stages. It'll make it easier for you. So we'll just start removing the skin like so around the outside. You know, one of the things I love about butternut squash is it's the type of thing that my kids will eat. It's really sweet. So last week I made this sensational butternut squash soup. Really simple. Just had 3 or 4 ingredients in it. And my kids loved it. So type of thing you want to try and do. So once we have all of our peels here, all this just goes right in the garbage bowl. Now it's out of our way. We'll take our piece that we peeled, put it to the side. Now the base of the squash is a little different. You're going to have the seeds in there. So first, we're just going to peel it the same way. And the nice thing about butternut squash is that it is pretty versatile. So not only can you make a soup out of it, you can cut this up and you can turn it into fries. You can just roast it and have it as a side to pork. It is very seasonal, of course. So you can use it in a lot of different ways. All right, so all our skins are gone. Now we deal with these parts. A main thing with anything you're cooking, whether you're boiling it, steaming it, roasting it, you want even sized pieces. You can't have large chunks that are different sizes. With small chunks, they won't cook the same. So we're gonna cut this in half and then cut across it a couple times. If it sticks, that's okay. Now I like to give it one more shot across the middle. Bam. And that's gonna go into our bowl. So that stays there, ready for us when we're gonna make our soup or roast it. So butternut is one of the original American squash that we had. Now this part is a little trickier, so I'm just gonna show you what we do. Cut in half, now you're going to have this little seed cavity, right? Don't throw those away. They are loaded with fiber. They are really, really yummy. I like to use them for topping a soup. You can just roast them in the toaster oven and serve them to your kids. My kids love them. They eat them like they're popcorn. So don't throw those away. I have a separate little bowl here, as you can see, and we're just going to reserve those for after. And, you know, listen, feel free to share. I'd love to know what you guys are doing with your butternut squash too. Every week in the market, I talk to different people and they give me different recipes they're making. And that's the beautiful thing about cooking, right? Is that we all have different takes on it, and it's really a trial and error thing. The more you do it, the better you get. We have our squash here, same thing, across, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, even sizes. And now we have it all together. At this point, you can either put it on a baking sheet and roast it, you can boil it, steam it, what have you, and you're gonna have a butternut squash soup or fries or whatever else on your table, lickety-split. I present to you the delicate, delectable Delicata Squash. It's a low-maintenance squash for a low-maintenance guy. And we're gonna show you how to prep it today. It is an heirloom squash, which means it's been around for 3 generations unchanged. In fact, since the late 1800s. Super sweet, great flavor, and easy to prep. I'm gonna show you how to do it right now so you can get it on your table ASAP. Just like with our butternut squash, you wanna take off the top and bottom. Make sure to keep your garbage bowl handy. And here's where it's gonna get different. Instead of peeling this squash, you're going to cut it right in half and scoop the seeds, which is why it is easier to clean. I like to turn it this way, a little steadier, it's flat, right down the middle. And you have these beautiful 2 little halves here. This is important. Do not throw these seeds away. They're amazing, super crunchy. My kids eat them all the time, and I eat them as well. You can use these to top a soup. You can use them just as a little crunchy snack that's high in fiber and protein. You're gonna scoop out all those seeds, and if you have a little pulp there, it's okay, you can pull it off, put it back on our board, rinse, wash, and repeat for the other side. And once you've got all your seeds out, if a few little stray seeds run away on the table, that is A-okay. Cooking is having fun and not getting too wrapped up in little mistakes. Otherwise, you go crazy. So we get all of our seeds out. They're in the bowl. We're gonna save those for later. Just rinse them off, pat them dry, toaster oven, 400 degrees, 10, 15 minutes, some olive oil, salt. Now for the fun part. Turn our squash upside down, 2 little canoes, as I like to call it. Really easy. Once across the middle, like so, and then length crosswise. So they're little half moons, we like to call them. Really simple. So now they're gonna kind of look all like this, and that's it. Arrange them on your baking sheet. We'll do the other side too because I'm kind of hungry and I wanna cook this up. Same thing. Onto our baking sheet. Arrange them so they're not really touching. When things are touching when you roast them, they steam. You don't want that. You want them to get crunchy and crispy and brown. Extra virgin olive oil, liberally of course. Some salt from a height. My wife always yells at me when I salt from too high because they get salt everywhere, but it's kind of my thing. And then some crushed black pepper. This will go in the oven, 375, about 20 minutes when it's fork tender. You can also add a little cinnamon or nutmeg if you like for a little more of a seasonal flavor, but that's really it. Quite easy. You should make it tonight. We have it here at the market and on the website.